The year is 2024, and America stands at the crossroads. Who will lead the United States for the next 4 years? The nation is watching as incumbent President Joe Biden faces off against former President Donald Trump in a clash that could shape the very fabric of the country. With key issues like the economy, immigration, and health care at stake, the question isn't just who will win. It's what kind of future do Americans want?
The race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris remains as tight as ever. The Republican and Democratic presidential candidates have both headed west.
The polling averages everywhere, all 7 battlegrounds. No one has a lead of more than 2.5 points.
But there's a twist this time. Vice President Kamala Harris has stepped up to take Biden's place as the Democratic nominee. If you thought Trump versus Biden was dramatic, you're in for a ride. This election promises to be one of the most contentious, controversial, and consequential in American history.
No clear leader in these states. It's a one-point race in each of them. In Georgia, among likely voters, our brand new poll shows Trump at 48% support, Harris at 47% support.
My opponent is also making his closing argument to America. And you've probably seen a bit of it. It is an argument that is full of hate and division.
Tonight, Kamala Harris urging voters in the key swing state of Arizona to end the Trump era.
We will break it down on Politalysis. The battleground states are at the heart of this election: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Wisconsin. Trump is leading in Arizona by a slim margin, while Harris has a slight edge in Wisconsin and Michigan. Georgia and Pennsylvania tied, and it's anyone's game. With over 15% of voters still undecided, the race is on, and every vote could determine who takes the White House. Let's talk about the economy, the number one concern for voters. Trump is selling his message of a great economic comeback, post-COVID, promising tax cuts and reduced regulations to fuel growth. Harris, on the other hand, is focusing on wage equality, investment in green energy, and measures to reduce inflation's burden on working families. Who's right? Who's wrong? That depends on which side of the fence you're standing on. Economic recovery is where Trump has the advantage. Recent polls show voters trust Trump over Harris to handle the economy by an average of 8 points.
Of what happened last month and hone in on the unemployment rate. And you can see at 4.1%, the unemployment rate has really held steady over the past couple of months, which again points to a more solid job market.
They remember his first term, for better or worse, as a time of low unemployment and stock market highs. However, some analysts note concerns about the potential trade-offs, citing an increase in national debt, tax cuts that benefited higher income brackets, and ongoing healthcare challenges. Harris's supporters emphasize her focus on issues impacting working and middle-class Americans. Her platform calls for expanding Medicare and building on Biden's healthcare policies. Whether this resonates with swing voters remains to be seen. Healthcare is a divisive issue, and while Harris leads Trump on trust to handle healthcare, the lead is narrow, and it's not winning over key demographics like older voters. Immigration policy remains a major issue. Trump supports his previous policy of building a border wall and stricter immigration control, emphasizing national security and job protection. Harris supports an immigration reform plan with a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, which appeals to progressives but faces criticism from some conservative groups. This debate isn't just theoretical. It's deeply personal for millions of Americans, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. Do voters want tighter borders or a more compassionate approach? Now, let's dive into those battleground states. Pennsylvania and Georgia are critical, and the race is neck and neck. Harris is relying on a coalition of young voters, suburban women, and black voters, particularly in Georgia. Trump, meanwhile, has strong support among rural voters, men, and white voters without a college degree. But there's trouble on the horizon for both candidates. In Pennsylvania, 16% of voters are still undecided, a massive number of people that could flip the state either way. The stakes are high, and both campaigns are pouring resources into get-out-the-vote efforts. In Wisconsin and Michigan, Harris holds a slim lead, largely thanks to strong support from women and college-educated voters. But Trump isn't out. His rallies in these states have drawn thousands, and he's banking on flipping just enough independents and disaffected Democrats to put him over the top. This margin is razor thin. And speaking of independents, they could be the key. Many voters are tired of both parties and looking for an alternative. Enter the third-party candidates. While they aren't polling high enough to win states, their impact could be huge. Jill Stein from the Green Party and Libertarian Chase Oliver are pulling just enough votes to potentially swing key battlegrounds. In a race this tight, every vote matters. So, what's the mood among voters? Well, that's polarized, to say the least. There's a clear divide between those who see Trump as the savior of the American dream and those who believe Harris represents a better future for all Americans. There are also voters who just don't trust either of them. It's a battle of ideologies, and the outcome will shape not just America, but the world. Polls show that voters are most concerned about the economy, protecting democracy, and immigration. In each of these categories, Harris and Trump represent dramatically different visions. Harris wants to protect voting rights and strengthen alliances abroad. Trump, meanwhile, has called for more isolationist policies, questioning America's role on the world stage. Foreign policy has become a major point of contention. Trump is calling for a reduction in overseas spending, criticizing Harris's commitment to Ukraine and NATO. He's argued that America needs to focus on itself, a message that resonates with voters who are tired of endless foreign conflicts. Harris, on the other hand, has emphasized the importance of international alliances and taking a stand against authoritarian regimes. What about democracy itself? Trump continues to claim that the 2020 election was stolen, and many of his supporters believe him. Harris advocates for electoral reform aimed at expanding access to voting and addressing concerns over election security and fairness. The specter of January 6th still looms large, and both candidates have very different ideas about what American democracy should look like. This isn't just an election. It's a referendum on the future of American democracy. Trump and Harris are two starkly different leaders, offering starkly different futures. Will America embrace Trump's vision of a strong, self-reliant nation or Harris's vision of an inclusive, progressive society? With just days to go until Election Day, the tension is rising. Campaign ads are flooding the airwaves, rallies are growing louder, and social media is buzzing with rumors and misinformation. It's not just about who will win, it's about whether the American people can come together after the votes are counted. And here's the big question: who will control America's future? The polls are close, the stakes are high, and the world is watching. Stay tuned, because no matter who wins, the impact will be felt far beyond America's borders. The decisions made in this election will shape economic policies, immigration reform, international relations, and the very fabric of American democracy. The 2024 election is not just about choosing a president. It's about deciding what kind of country the United States wants to be. Will it be Trump's America or Harris's America? The choice is yours, America.